And we are live. Hello, everyone. Watching now and in the future. I'm Farm. I am not Farm.
What the hell?
Identity crisis.
I know, right? I am Potato Revan, everyone's least favorite potato. So today we're going to be talking about the media impact of Bonnie and Clyde. So just an overview. In the 1930s, Bonnie and Clyde were making their way through America. Here you go. This is them. Like, this isn't going to be true crime. That'll come later. So, this is more of their impact on media and entertainment. Like, Bonnie and Clyde left a definitive scar. I would definitely say a scar, a one on entertainment. They were America's original bad boy, bad girl, like, love couple, because they were in the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl, and things like this. And like, Bubba, you're from around the type of area that they were from. Do you know the impact that they had? Like, you must have known family who watched these people.
In all truth, in my area, there are entire laws that are still on the books today, specifically because of them. Because it wasn't just them. We had the Dalton gang. We had the Dillinger hid down here for a little while in Oklahoma and Texas. That's the thing. They come from an era where they were the height of it. They were the golden age of it. But they came from an era where superstar criminals were how the everyman got by through the day.
Public enemy number one. Yeah.
Yep. Nobody wanted these people to be captured because it meant that the man was going to win.
Yeah. Like, there was
Hey, John.
parts. Hey, John. There was parts of their, like, escapades where they were going through one of the, like, they literally put where they were going to be in the newspaper, right? And when they were going along, people would be over the billboard, over the, like, roadways of the road that they were traveling on, cheering, clapping for these people. Everything changed. I forget the place's name, but this is I'll explain better in the true crime part. Everything changed when they turned around and they killed a security guard who had just become a dad, even though he had asked for was like, I'm not going to shoot you, please just put your guns down, like, don't do anything, and they shot him. It was originally in the newspaper listed as Clyde and Bonnie, but Bonnie wrote to the newspaper herself. She put in the only known photos of them, this is the entire Barrow gang. This is one of the photos she put in. She also put this photo in, and she put down, wrote to the journalist, make sure that you know that it is Bonnie and Clyde, not Clyde and Bonnie. Clyde's brother was a fucking psychopath. Like, he was in and out of jail since he was like 14, 12, that age range. But they got, like, absolutely loved. The thing is, they didn't really get that much money. Like, they were robbing banks during the Great Depression. Congratulations. It's like robbing a fucking like candy store after the fat people already get to it.
Or after the kids, but the fat rich kids. But anyway,
yeah.
But it's kind of like, to make a comparison. It's like Blackbeard. He only took down 3 British naval ships his entire piratical career. That's not counting his privateering and the foreign ships that he took on when he was in the war. But the point is, the celebrity of it was a whole lot bigger. If you actually go back and look at their monetary gains, that kind of thing, like you said, it wasn't really that big. But these people, we're talking about the Great Depression, where, and of course, if you were in Oklahoma or Arkansas, like down in this area, we had the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression. Mm-hmm. So any little thing to break the monotony or break how terrible things were, like you said, it was when they killed the guy that suddenly the public turned on them, because up to that point they were considered kind of like Robin Hood figures.
Yeah, and
Hey, mountains.
there's this married couple in some little motel, off-road motel, and they had the Ford car that you will see here, right? This Ford car. Now this picture here, historians don't know did Bonnie actually fire a gun, because if you look at her, far if you're a gunman, right? Is she competent with that gun?
There's two possibilities to this. One could be she was just deliberately posing that way because she was taking a picture and she wanted to show off, look fancy, however you want to put it.
Uh-huh.
Or she didn't know how. But the thing is, historically, nobody knows. And like you said, that's the problem. She may have been firing plenty of shots. She may not have fired a single shot. She may have been letting the boys do the heavy lifting. Who knows?
Yeah, like there was two girls in it. One girl was...
Well, she almost matched Clyde's brother for up close and personal crazy, though.
Oh, yeah, but I'm just talking about, like, letting off around, because if you look at it, yes, Clyde would have gotten the chair. She would have just gotten a few years in prison and let off. Like, essentially, all she did was kidnapping and jail robbery. So she would have been left off. Her crimes were not as big as Clyde. Until Clyde got into jail, then she orchestrated a plan to break Clyde from his chain gang. Get him into a car and just bolt away as fast as they can. Which worked because it was the 1930s and security wasn't a thing. Because, they had bigger issues, World War II, and to worry about. But there was one of the guys who was in love with Bonnie was a thespian to her heart. She wanted to be an actress. She wanted to be a model, right? She wanted to be on the silver screen.
Which is really unfortunate because she did not look like Faye Dunaway, who played her in the movie.
Are the woman who played her in the weird History Channel thing that turned Clyde into psychic. But we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But, I mean, so she wanted to be a big actress. She tried everything, right? And she turned around and she then found Clyde. She fell in love with Clyde. But Clyde, they say she fell in love with Clyde. But it turns out Clyde was actually in the affair, because she was married to a man who, it's portrayed in a lot of stuff from Bonnie and Clyde's side that her husband was uncaring and unloving because he kept going away for work. It was the Great Depression.
Yeah.
He had to. There was no work. Like, if you did not go away for work, you did not work at all. So he had to, and honestly, like, any man who would do that, yeah, like, in my opinion, that's a good man, but she went and had an affair on him with Clyde Barrow.
Well, and to be fair, he had more than most, which isn't to say he had much, but her family pressured her, because I think one of her parents was dead, but her family pressured her into marrying him.
Her daddy was gone.
Yeah. But her family pressured her heavily into marrying him.
Yeah. And she didn't... I don't know, did she or did she not love him? It depends on why you're looking at. Because I've read different things where some say letters that she did love him, others say letters that she didn't.
Yeah. I don't really find that part to be relevant. She obviously didn't stay loving him.
No, she didn't. But so then it's like the Great Depression hit, the stock of 29. But the thing is, she was only out of high school when all this happened. She literally, she could have literally waited it out and still been young enough to have, had a good life. Guys, how long did the Great Depression last?
Years. Yeah.
Yeah, was World War II...
To put it into perspective, it it was roughly 20 years. It started just a little after World War One and ended just a little after World War Two.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so she would have been in her 40s, so that's a long time. But I mean, honestly, what happened during World War II? And Farv, what's the name of the acting troupe who'd go and annoy the soldiers?
Oh, you mean the USO?
Thank you. I'm glad you got it from annoy the soldiers. One of my favorite USO stories is from Robin Williams. He said the first time he ever did something for the USO and the bugle started playing, he said everyone went from laughing to stand up and turned around and stared at the flag, and he's like, what the hell's going on? He had no idea. They didn't tell him that was even a thing.
Oh, jeez.
But so they ended up robbing banks from bank to bank to bank. They would find a car that they literally, she turned around and she looked and she go, I like that car rather than this car. They would go around and steal the car. You want to know how they got caught? Towards the end of their life? What? The license plate.
I know. Yeah. That's, and what's funny is license plates were only just becoming a mandatory, like, legal thing.
Mm-hmm. Like, they turn around and, yo, Brad, good to see you, man.
Hello.
Wait. So, yeah, so, they turn around and they're like, okay, so, if, given the time and the car, it shouldn't have been out of state. Like, literally, if they had stolen a license plate from another car, like a black Ford Model T, like, okay, like, there's 10 billion of them. Like, that wouldn't have narrowed shit down. Stuck it on that one, they would have been fine. But, as with any criminal, it only takes one screw up to screw everything up.
Well, yeah.
And what was his name? The Hammer?
I think.
Yeah, so the marshals were sick of him because they were losing marshals because they started killing people, like security guards. Like, they killed one woman in a bank.
But that was the whole point. Up to that point, when law enforcement, okay, so it was a progression, because at first they weren't killing anyone, and so the low man on the totem pole that has next to nothing, that dreams of having a glamorous lifestyle like that, they start to think, okay, these guys ain't so bad. But then they start killing, and when they're only killing law enforcement, they're like, okay, fine, they're just in the way, it's not right, but, you know, at least they're only killing the people that are pointing guns at them. But then, when they started killing just about anybody that was in their way, and it's very, very clear that both Clyde's brother and Bonnie started getting, there was a huge bloodlust, and Clyde, who did a lot of the driving, you know, at one point in time, they've got a crime scene where they were literally picking parts of a cop out of their bumper, like out of the car they left behind.
Yeah.
Like, one of the things that someone said to defending Clyde was literally, he just wanted to look nice when he robbed, because he left money in a suit store, right? They were defending him by saying he just wanted to look nice. He's one of us. Don't any of us want to look nice? Followed by the following week of he shot a grandmother.
Yeah,
and that's the biggest problem, is that at first it was they just wanted something better than what they had. They wanted excitement, and they did. They built a celebrity on it. But the problem is that sort of thing has to progress.
They became addicted to it.
Oh yeah, like with anything, like it's incredibly like addictive. Like they essentially got a power high. It's like, we have control over these people's lives and deaths. I'm pretty sure and convinced that Bonnie thought that she was legitimately immortal. Like, if
Maybe
you go,
not immortal, but definitely thought she was. She definitely thought she is luckier than the cops.
And
Yeah.
let's. It's a bit more contemporary, a bit more modern, but let's use someone who was capable of, I'll say, equal levels of violence, if not in a different way. It kind of comes into the same issue with the mind of somebody like Ted Bundy.
yeah,
The man assumed, and in many cases correctly, that he was smarter than most of the people he was dealing with.
mm-hmm.
He never thought he was going to get caught. He never gave it a second thought. He did what he did because it's what he wanted to do, and that was all that he cared about.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you know, all it takes is one mistake. Like that's
Exactly.
the whole point with criminals. What they don't understand is, you know, what a lot of them fail to realize is, and it might not even be an obvious mistake. They've tracked criminals. They've tracked criminals, like you're talking about the license plate with Bonnie and Clyde. They, you know, that's what law enforcement does. This is literally what they are commissioned to do, what they have the authority to do by almost any means necessary. Yeah, there are a lot of constitutional rights, but back then there was a lot less oversight on that. And nowadays, if you think they're really overseeing it, you haven't been paying attention.
One of the ways that they honestly turned on Bonnie was there was this cop, right? And she was in an ice cream parlor, and she was sitting down, like she was the only one in there. Like they had basically cleared the place out, and this, I don't know why this pissed the cop and the local people off. It's like she killed the owner of the place. And then she sat down and had ice cream, and the cop literally said, "I'm putting that dog down." And he was one of the he then stopped being a cop and became a marshal. What's the difference, guys? Sorry, we don't have these here. What's
Marshal has wider jurisdictional power. They can go from county to county, state to state.
Yeah, and federal marshals everywhere is their jurisdiction. They can do. They're super cops. They are literally allowed. A federal marshal is allowed anywhere that that you can publicly step, and they are and it takes almost no effort at all for them to get a warrant to get into your house.
Now, to be fair, there are limitations to that nowadays because a lot of states have limitations on what federal government can do in an individual state. But back then, that was not the case.
Yeah,
well,
they
if
were
you
like
think
brand
that those
new.
limitations are really going to do anything, by the time those limitations kick in, it's post, you know, whatever happened. They'll just do what they're going to do, and they know they're going to get away with it.
Less so today, especially in certain states who don't really trust the federal government very much.
So, one of the ways that I'm just going to call him the Hammer, decided we're going to get Bonnie. And he looked at everything, and then he looked at everyone's family. It's like, okay, these people have like 8 siblings. Like, their parents aren't going to care that much about one, right? These people have like 7, these have 6. And then he found an only child with a dad by himself. And he turned around and he's like, boom, that's what we're going for. Right? So they went to this man's dad, one of the Barrow gangs. And they turned around and they said, okay, your son is going to get his ass blown away by us. Not Bonnie and Clyde. We're going to do this. So we're literally offering you your son's life. We're going to put him in jail for 3 years. Right? That is 3 years he'll be away. You'll be able to go and see him, bring him pies, things like this. He said, but at the end of 3 years, he will get out. He will be able to get married, have a life. Right? All you have to do is give us Bonnie and Clyde. That is it. 1 phone call. 2 people. Boom. And he turned around and he's like, I'm not going to do that. And then he sat down and he's like, okay. And the cop left the Tommy gun on the table. The hammer. Right? And he said, look at this. We're going to be firing this. Oh, hello to our processes. Good to see you. I once heard a Leo say the bad guys have to get lucky every time. We have to get lucky once. I never forget that odds are in their favor. Yes. Honestly, because even the cops have to follow the law, no matter what they're doing. Right?
That's debatable nowadays, but that's not the point. The point is that the criminals in a lot of cases are in the same. And we're lucky if half of the like major criminals now are not on the payroll of the government secretly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not get into conspiratorial shit on this, please.
He turned around, and his son's wife got blinded in the eye, right? When Bonnie and Clyde abandoned him, right? She was later played by Sarah Hyland, I forget her name, but it began with a B, some weird 1930s name, right? So she was now blinded in one eye. His son was shot in the leg, proceeded to have a limp, right, for the rest of his life, and he turned around and he literally said to his dad, "You get them. They abandoned us. Like, they don't care about us. Everything they promised us was a lie. We're going to get them." He said, I'm going to go 3 years in prison myself. And he went straight afterwards. He ended up running a mechanics store for, like, the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Like, never done anything afterwards, which I honestly think is good to hear. Like, he literally changed his name so he wouldn't have anything associated to be one of the Barrow Gang. And, but, so, there was the road leading up to the farm, and the father's like, "Hey guys, I've got some supplies for you, I've got this, I've got that, just come and meet me." So they went and they met him, and while they were there, I don't know why they stopped so far away, easily like 700-800 meters to half a mile down the road from him. And now some historical resources say that the car stopped and he backed up, right? And, like, one of the books I read said that Clyde sat up, looked in the car, and as soon as he put his hand down to hit the clutch or the stick, whatever those cars worked with back then, that's when the police laid into him.
It sounded like he was gonna, back up and drive away.
Yeah, like the entire cops had laid out into a what would you call it? A firing squad line formation?
It's a firing line, I guess, would be the most accurate way to...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they had gotten into firing line. They had, like, multiple...
What happened?
Multiple what? Did we lose Potato? Oh, no.
Evan. Oh, that's not good.
No, we've lost Revan. Oh, no, Potato! Potato got too hot.
Oh.
Oh, no.
Well, that's going to make that awkward.
Come back, Potato.
Especially since it's his fucking show.
He'll be back, but Farb, I wasn't even talking conspiracy stuff, man. Like, for instance, a lot of those gangs back then were allowed to keep going because it was good for publicity. A lot of these super cops that made a name for themselves taking them out, they, there were times, there are phone calls that have had, local police departments were called and told, no, don't engage.
Oh, I'm
them,
not disputing that. I mean, I still remember.
Yeah, I'm not talking about like dark. I'm not talking about dark conspiracy stuff. I'm talking about the stuff we know happened. Like,
well, and it went both ways. Yeah. I mean, Capone was paying off half the fucking police department in his day.
Yeah. Well, Capone. See, and that's the biggest problem. Like Capone, for instance, I'm not saying he was a good man, but the reason why we have expiration dates on our food is because his mother and sister got sick from eating or from drinking sour milk.
Yeah.
The thing is that a lot of his power was used to help people. Yes, he was doing terrible things, but a lot of people will forgive terrible things if you're using that power to help them.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, there are. People don't understand when it comes to the golden age of, the super criminal, in American history. Mm-hmm. The biggest reason why most of them, oh, hey, welcome back, Revan. But the biggest reason why most of them got away with things for as long as they did was because the people around them did not want to let them go. That it gave people hope in some weird sort of way, and
But here's the thing: at the same time, they in a time when all the actors were going to war, all the like singers, like look at Elvis. Like Elvis was starting off on the radio. He got drafted into World War II, right?
Yes, and to that, he had a chance. They were going to legally let him refrain, but he chose to go.
Yeah. But he turned around and with him.
Coincidentally, it's my responsibility to remind you we're 25 minutes in and we're supposed to be talking about the entertainment angle.
Yeah.
On this
Oh,
too.
hold on. I'm getting to this. Right. So after their death, you started seeing stuff like pop up, like movies, TV shows, like even like the runaway couple in love, like Favre. You sent me this.
Well, yeah. What this is a Japanese manga writer's take on Bonnie and Clyde. It's from a manga series called Gunsmith Cats. And two of the first villains that the main character encounters are literally called Bonnie and Clyde. Except in this one, they're actually siblings.
Yeah.
It's a brother and
Hakime.
sister who got locked up, escaped from fucking prison. Well, one broke the other one out. And then basically proceeded to turn on the crime family that got them put away when they got out.
Well, I mean, let's face it. Jesse and James and Butch and Cassidy are named, and Pokemon are named after that. And Giovanni's a stereotypical crime boss.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just
Giovanni
that's
is
the way it
actually
goes.
one of the look of Giovanni was actually based on Clyde Barrow's brother.
Ha!
Yeah.
The portrayal of Giovanni, the way he sits, everything like that, is taken from the Godfather movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to go into a bit of a rant because this pissed me off. It's about Bonnie and Clyde. There was a History Channel movie called a 6-part TV show called Bonnie and Clyde. My Christ. They turned Bonnie and Clyde into this weird. Bonnie became, in a word, and I don't mean to be so crass, horny. The actress who played Bonnie she was after playing Cesare Borgia's Lucrezia Borgia, right? Literally just before this, and then she turned around.
Oh crap! I know which one you're talking about. I didn't realize that was her. That's great.
Yeah. This reminds me of that weird shit they did with son of a bitch. Now I would just forget her.
The Hatfields and McCoys.
No. It's no country shit. It's son of a bitch. Come on, brain. Why would I forget this right when I'm about to say it? Fuck.
It will come back to you.
Because there's a movie I saw recently, and I only saw it because I was stranded in a motel for like 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
You spend an awful lot of time stranded.
No, it's the same time.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. That makes me feel better. I'm going to be honest.
That's like, what the fuck, man? Jeez.
Yeah, no, that makes me feel a lot better.
Why am I forgetting her fucking name now? Damn it. Hold on a sec. I gotta check my
What kind of criminal?
A murderer. Not quite colonial era, but close.
Revolutionary era?
Hang on a sec.
Not talking about old Jack the Ripper, are you?
No, it was a woman.
Oh.
I'm fucking up her name. I don't know why.
Lizzie Borden.
Lizzie Borden. That's the one.
That's the one. Yep.
And they did this thing with this movie where they spent more time implying that she was a lesbian than actually looking into what she actually fucking did.
Yeah.
And it pissed me off because I'm like, they hinted at shit that was kind of mysterious that they never quite figured out about the killing or the fact that other people might have been involved with it. But then they don't go anywhere. They got to turn into this weird ass lesbian pseudo romance and try to make it look like it was her parents' fault. that
I
kind
saw-
of weird slant on shit annoys me.
Yeah, talking about just a weird thing. I saw a documentary, one on Rasputin where he legitimately had powers, and one on Rasputin
Oh god.
where it turns out that Rasputin had a weird biology, or that he always had a full stomach because all the papers and everything always had Rasputin eating, right?
Yeah.
So the poison was absorbed by the bread in his stomach, right, which didn't kill him. When he was drowned, but Rasputin was a swimmer. He could hold his lungs, right? Like, and all stuff like this. But back to Bonnie and Clyde. This is a vision he had. This is like that scene. That is a vision he had when they first met her. And I am not talking.
I just want to bring up real quick, like Rasputin having powers. Have you not seen the 1997 animated film Anastasia?
I saw
Don Bluth's film done by.
I saw The King's Man, and I thought they did a better job with him in that.
They did. They honestly did. That was a fucking brilliant film. So this is them in like just out and about. This like you're like, okay, that's normal, and then for some reason they did this.
A vision, or he's just looking back on memory.
No. He stood there. He went, right, and then
boy, yeah.
Yeah, and then he proceeded to see it, and he'd be sitting there on his bed, right, and he'd look over at the side of the room, and you'd see a little white rabbit, and then all he'd hear is ding, 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 whenever he'd see the rabbit. He looked up, and then he'd see Bonnie, and I'm like, what is he doing? Why are we seeing this? And he turned around, and there was one scene that really fucking annoyed me, is... He slapped Bonnie, right? In it. Bonnie, we can't kill cops.
Since fucking when?
And he blamed Bonnie for getting them killed.
Okay, then.
Yeah, that's that's not how that went at all.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
Bonnie and Clyde had no problem whatsoever killing cops, and if they're already dead, how did he? How did he?
Oh, he was alive at this time. No, it's like what that means, Raquel, is that she signed her death warrant by killing the cop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh. You've got a fan, Raquel.
For the record, love.
Oh, jeez.
Bartok
from Anastasia. Oh yes, I love the. I don't want to get too off topic here, but I love the ending that Bartok got a female friend at the end.
Mm-hmm. But so then in this adaptation, Bonnie kept dancing all the time. Like when they were out, Bonnie would be dancing. When they were in the place, Bonnie would be dancing, and she'd be like, "Oh, Mr. Clyde." I'm like,
yeah, they took some liberties there. It sounds like.
Yeah,
they literally turned her into Harley Quinn at one stage. She was like, Clyde, I was just wondering. I'm like, no, because the actress has been talking like, Clyde, we need to go here. And then she turns around and she's like, Clyde. I'm like, someone had been watching the Harley Quinn TV show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like, animated series, because she literally turned into fucking Harley Quinn for one stage. And then they turned around and they came upon, like, when they were at the part where they were going to die. I showed the guys this behind the scenes. What you didn't see was she had a bunny, right? Because she was going to have a house full of kids and full of bunny rabbits. I'm like, weird choice, but okay.
Yeah.
And that they were going to go straight. No, they weren't. They were going to ride this shit out. Like, they were going to go as far as they could. Like, Clyde kept making plans for escapes. Kept making...
Yeah, in every version, they've tried to depict it like they had plans to settle down and everything. I've always speculated that they were just as happy dying the way they did.
Nobody who's that dedicated to that way of life ever has a plan to stop.
Yeah,
Manson didn't, Bundy didn't, Gacy didn't. They all just assumed they'd just keep going on till they didn't, because they wouldn't get caught.
Farv, what's the name of that serial killer? He held a gun to the cops and he turned around and they're like, "Please kill me. It's the only way I'm going to stop is if you kill me."
Fuck, I can't remember that one.
But you know him.
I'm pretty sure. It sounds familiar.
It's the same thing. They weren't going to stop. They were going to keep going. They loved the limelight. They thought that they were going to be bigger than Public Enemy #1, Al Capone. Like, they thought the Barrow Gang was incredibly feared. No, and as soon as they killed that first cop, I'm honestly convinced that Clyde knew that was it. That first cop, and then the grandmother, those two people changed everything.
Yeah. Well, because then they no longer had the sympathy of the public anymore.
Yeah.
That was the thing. People were willing to hide them. People were willing, but the moment they lost sympathy with the public, suddenly only the worst of the worst would have anything to do with them.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, everyone
people that they reviled and were afraid of.
Yeah. Like, the thing is, everyone knows. We are... right now we're talking about the History Channel depiction of Bonnie and Clyde, which is stupid. It's not an actual documentary. It's more like a movie broken up into parts, and it's incredibly weird.
Let's face it, the History Channel has become a joke.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, you turn around and Clyde was in the bathtub, right? And he go, Why that? Why that sound? That sound got on my nerves. It's
well,
like,
I mean, you know, and the fact that it sounds like he's beating his gun, you know.
Yeah. So he turns around, and he's there, and he's in the bath, and he sees this bunny rabbit, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, how many times did that bunny rabbit fall into the bath during the making of that scene? Because, you know the old porcelain bathtubs, like the old 1930s ones, right? They had this little bunny rabbit. Yeah, they had this bunny rabbit sitting on the corner. And the bunny rabbit's whole scene was he turned, looked and went, right? And then you'd hear the bullets. And I'm just like, how many times did that fucking bunny rabbit fall into that water? I want to see that footage.
Well, yeah. How many rabbits do you think they had to go through? They had to, they couldn't just dry them off, or maybe they had someone whose job it was to towel them off and blow dry them so they could take another shot.
They had the animal welfare coordinator. They had animal trainers. And as far as I know, I looked into it. They had some like 16 rabbits because they only.
Well, there you go.
That's a lot of rabbits.
Yeah, because the thing is, they'd only use.
Bet you they had 36 by the end of it.
Oh boy!
They'd only use one rabbit for a certain period of time, and then they'd stop.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and they'd then be like, okay, so we need to use this one, because the thing is, it's like with all the banging on set, the rabbits were getting too scared.
Aw, poor bunny.
That actually makes sense.
So then at the end of this fucking weird ass documentary, right? I'm just sitting there like, what is even life at this stage? He turns around to Bonnie in the car at the end. It's okay, man. I can't tell the difference. I don't even know. Hey, I spelled Clyde right. Yay, me. But they turn around and he said to Bonnie, and I'm like, how do you know this was said? He held her hand and he said, Bonnie, this is it. And I'm just like, I'm thinking like, if you knew that stretch of road, that moment you're going to die, why do you keep going? Why don't you just slam the car, hit it in reverse, go, Bonnie, I've foreseen this. This stretch of road, this moment, this is what's going to happen. Off you go. Like, you knew.
He did spell Clyde right.
Yay!
What a cookie.
I get a cookie. Yes, please.
You do. You get a cookie.
Yay! But, so do any of you have any other depictions of Bonnie and Clyde, or movies or TV shows with them?
Well, I know I can tell you another movie that was strongly influenced by it, although it wasn't telling the same story.
Okay, go ahead.
If anybody here has seen the movie Natural Born Killers.
No.
My mother loves that movie. She watched it years
But it's
ago.
basically the same fucking thing, just in a different era.
Yeah. Like, and oddly enough, there's like some load of like anime characters inspired by Bonnie and Clyde.
Well, I mean, like we were saying in Pokemon, their names might have been, they might have been named after Jesse James and Butch Cassidy, but both of them are a guy and girl, teaming up to do crime. It is they Bonnie and Clyde. They've got those immortal names like Blackbeard or Rasputin or any of the rest of them. That notoriety will never go away.
Like I was watching one TV show, and someone turned around in it and there was these two aliens, and it goes, they think they're Bonnie and Clyde or something. Like, even now, if you see it in the newspaper, they turn around and they're like, oh, hold on. Potato Revan, I think the version you're talking about was what I saw was, yeah, that's the fucking one. That's the fucking one. This one, Brad. This fucking one. I swear to God. But the one thing I do have to give it, honestly, I am partial to it, is the costume designs. I fucking love the suits. And that's all admit it. Bonnie ain't bad on the eyes.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, not like in real life.
No. Like, TV, real life. No, Bonnie, where the fuck are you? I had the real pictures of you. There.
There, yeah.
Yeah, Bonnie and Clyde.
Which obviously she's not the most unfortunate. She's not like the ugliest person in the world. But, let's face it, she's wanting to be an actress and a model, and I think she chose the right path.
Hey, I mean, she still looks pretty.
No, yeah, but we're talking about the
real one.
That's what I'm saying.
She looked alright, but
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm talking about for back then.
Yeah,
back then, before there was breast augmentation and general plastic surgery. Like back then, she wasn't gonna cut it. Like you couldn't see her next to Olivia DeCaplan or Faye Dunaway, who played her, or Betty Davis or any of those. Like she just, Myrna Loy, she just don't hit the mark.
So Spencer said, did you know that when Bonnie and Clyde died, she wasn't wearing the wedding ring that she was given by Bonnie? Oh, sorry, he wasn't wearing the wedding ring. Yeah, they basically announced that they were married to each other. We will be, we're going to definitely do this in a full-on true crime episode. We're going to, hit all this stuff, but we're just talking about the fake depictions. True romance, Toronto written, could have been argued as heavily influenced by Bonnie and Clyde, but the versions are more victims of circumstance, only killed because they had to. The only movie I've ever seen, Raquel, you saw it recently. The movie, you want to talk about it? About the cop version? From the cop's point of view?
It's called The Highwayman. It's a 2019 movie starring Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson, the two cops that were going after Bonnie and Clyde. And I really enjoyed it. It's a different perspective of the chase to get Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah. Oh, are you guys going to do Randy Starr next? Who's Randy Starr?
I don't know. Hey, Jet Sparks.
Yeah. Spencer, you're going to love our true crime talk on these guys. We're going to, we just have to arrange with someone else, of what to do for the true crime, because I do miss doing those. They are fun.
Well, I still got that Florida one we got.
Oh, we're definitely doing those. That's the next one we're doing. We just literally have to solidify a date.
Yeah, get our third person set up, yeah.
Yeah. If that person can't make it, we might replace her with Raquel. If she can't make it.
Oh, there's Dalek.
Hey, Dalek, good to see you, man.
Hey, Dalek.
But that is one of the only depictions of from the detective's point of view, because everyone else is more interested in like Bonnie and Clyde. Like the detective is, there's another one in True Detectives, which isn't about Bonnie and Clyde, but the detective in it. Oh, Spencer, you love this. We're like complete and utter nerds on this channel, man. Like next week we're literally going to be talking about the DCEU versus the DCU, hopes, fears, things like that. I've got a few people, but just not going to get into that on this stream. So he is literally the detective, the Hammer, who they brought out of retirement for it. And he's there and everything, but he's more seedier. Hey, son of a red shirt. Good to see you, man.
Long time no see.
Uh-huh. Oh, nice. But yeah. Oh, me throat. But, like, there's weirder, like, references to, like, Bonnie and Clyde in, like, soap operas.
Soap operas.
I've seen them, like, over here. There's, like, been characters in a show called Hollyoaks, where two people went on a killing spree and they were like standing there literally posed like Bonnie and Clyde.
You know, for the story of Bonnie and Clyde, yeah, it's somewhat a romance story, but at the same time not. I don't really see the story of Bonnie and Clyde as a soap opera.
No. They were added into other soap operas, just like added in there. There was, I saw even at one stage, there was this guy on ATV. Oh, hold on. I was watching a true crime on Murderous Women. The episode I was watching had someone who was a friend of Bonnie and Clyde's mentioned Bonnie and Clyde a little bit. Yeah, like that's the thing. It's like if you anyway knew Bonnie and Clyde, you're like, I know Bonnie and Clyde. Everyone, and this is going to be so like sad about it. Bonnie and Clyde's friends basically milked them.
I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, but Farv, do you know any other depictions of them?
Off the top of my head, no.
Yeah, like there's a 1960s movie I haven't watched, and when one of the most gruesome.
Pretty sure that's the one I keep talking about.
Oh, you want to talk about it?
Oh no, like what we're talking about the Faye Dunaway movie.
Yes.
And you know, it was wasn't the one playing. I haven't seen this since high school. Wasn't the one playing? Wasn't that Warren Beatty?
I'm not sure.
Oh, anyway, the point is that they picked these two elegant, glamorous stars because they know that that's going to be what looks good for the movies. Mm-hmm. And it resurrects. I mean, and by this time there are still older people that were around when Bonnie and Clyde were, you know, famous and powerful. So I mean, this was a big deal. This movie at the time was very controversial. There was, you know, the depictions of sexuality and violence in it, and everybody was, you know, more than what you'd see in a Western movie, you know. And so a lot of people, you know, were very excited about it. You know, it generated a lot of, you know, a lot of public appeal. Mm-hmm. But the fact remains is that you know, even then there was a lot of criticism because the real Bonnie and Clyde, first of all, they made Clyde out to be impotent. You know, you know, he couldn't get it up unless they were, you know, unless there was a thrill going, and that was never a problem he had. And you know, Bonnie,
coming from personal experience.
Oh
yeah. Anyway, no potato. Anyway, the point is that, well, let's face it, he got it up for Bonnie. Obviously, he doesn't have any problems, but in that regard, but he got other problems. But anyway, and then of course, because she was already married and she was married young, you know, and of course, because she, you know, had aspirations of acting and modeling, that sort of thing. They decide to pick the most glamorous gal they could possibly get to play her. And of course, anybody that knew what she really looked like, I'm just saying. And again, she's not the ugliest person in the world, but it's not, she wasn't going to match up to any of the stars, even back in her day. Mm-hmm. So overall though, that movie regenerated, everybody's interest and love for them. It brought their celebrity back to the forefront of society. And now most of the depictions of guy girl criminal couples, like there's a Toby Keith song called "Bullet in the Gun." The entire and the Travis Tritt song, "Modern Day Bonnie and Clyde," that one's got Billy Bob Thornton in the video. Mm-hmm. They have hit that. They are the quintessential criminal couple in all of pop culture. That they are who people think of when they think of when they want to over romanticize criminal couplings.
Yeah.
And it's mainly because of that movie.
Mm-hmm. One of the things, and talking about, this comment right here. So, everyone loves Romeo and Juliet. It's a love story. No. I was watching a historian talking about it. He said he hates Romeo and Juliet since he studied it, right? If you actually look at it, it is not a love story. But that's a story for another day. But it isn't. You're not meant to love it, but people fell in love with these idiots.
Did anyone watch that Romeo and Juliet movie with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Oh God, I hated that one.
I've never seen it, but having Romeo and Juliet in modern times, I don't know.
That was That was the least of that movie's problems.
Mm.
And they still quote the lines like they're in the 17th century.
Mm-hmm.
It's horrible. It is absolutely terrible.
Yeah, Raquel, you would literally need to understand what some of these words mean. They use words like forthwith, ends.
I read Shakespeare in high school.
No, I'm not talking about you. Do you get me?
Right.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm just talking about you as in general. We're on a stream.
Just imagine a modern cast in a modern setting repeating all of those words verbatim.
While firing guns they call swords.
Yes. While they're talking about swordplay, they are literally shooting each other. It's terrible. But again, that still goes along with the romanticism, like Bonnie and Clyde, Romeo and Juliet, that kind of thing. Even, the fact of the matter is that modern entertainment has reshaped these people and made them into a romance story. And both of these stories suffer from that.
They do, incredibly so. They really, really do suffer. One of the things that I noticed is, so Farv, you guys in America, do you do state funerals?
Say that again.
Do you do state funerals?
What is a state funeral in this context?
State funeral is when, say, a president dies, he goes to somewhere very important and thousands go to pay a visit to him while his body's out on display.
This may sound crass of me, but I don't honestly know because I never gave enough of a fuck.
No, I know, but it's you would have recently seen it when, at the passing of Queen Elizabeth, mm-hmm. when a pope passes away, when a monarch passes away, something like that, where the bodies are left. In most depictions, right, they left the Bonnie and Clyde's bodies out on display. Now, in reality, I looked at this.
You couldn't have done that. They turned that car into a block of fucking Swiss cheese.
Oh, no, they were hamburger meat.
No, they had their bodies on display for 2 hours. 2 hours. Right? Because, no, it wasn't on display. The reason why they had their bodies was they needed to get them out of that car, get their car taken away, and get their bodies like gone, right? To the families. So for 2 hours they were in a freezer. They were on ice. They had to take it out of the freezer because it was starting to like turn to food. There was like food on the hamburger meat, right?
Oh, just throw that stuff away.
Oh, they had to. But I'm just talking.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to.
This is back in the Great Depression. They didn't throw anything away.
No, they would have probably gave that to the dogs, honestly. But so the people, everyone clamored to the funerals. Then when at their actual funerals, people went to the funerals. Now in reality, they were just like that's Bonnie and Clyde, take pictures, whatever. So they could they wanted to see did any other criminals show up. They were curious. In every depiction I have seen, people are crying at their funerals. And I'm not talking friends and family. I'm talking Joe Soap and Annie Soap.
They lost that privilege long before that.
They did, but not even the privilege. The people.
No. What I mean is their celebrity status by then had died. We talked about this earlier when they started killing cops and innocent people. The shine was off. The bloom was off the rose. Nobody gave a shit about them anymore.
Yeah. I think
they went from being celebrated to being feared. Little kids at the first of it wanted to see Bonnie and Clyde. By the end of it, they would rather have seen the boogeyman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like at one stage, someone said that they turned around and there was this guy who was a low town criminal. He carried a gun on him. He was like one of these jackasses, right? He just robbed people, never killed anyone. But when Bonnie and Clyde drove through, he started shooting at the car. Himself, they said they found 6 or 7 bullet holes in their car as they drove through. But yeah, so it was really weird in every depiction I've ever seen from Bonnie and Clyde's point of view. At the end, everyone's there. I even heard them having beautiful orchestric music as their coffins were being carried into the church, and you could hear people throughout the church crying.
Bull.
Yeah.
Yes, that's not realistic. But anybody that would have mourned them was either close relatives and were afraid to admit they were close relatives.
Mountains of Elysium brought up an interesting point on why they're so popular in the media.
Oh, yeah.
Played into the teenage mindset. The whole world is against me, so it doesn't matter what I do. That, and it also played into the lived mindset of the 1930s in the Great Depression of the government lost my money, so why should I not take the government's? But they weren't taking the government's money. They were taking grandma's money. They were taking my money.
Mm-hmm.
They were robbing the banks, and when they killed that grandma, even in the TV show, every show when they kill her, that elderly woman, you can literally see this guy's oh my god, Bonnie and Clyde, yes, I'm gonna have a story. And he turned around and he shot her in the chest, and the bank manager who held her just looked up at Bonnie and said, I hope you die. And
yeah.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, the real Bonnie and Clyde, there are people that that had depictions of them. That they eyewitnesses, they described them as emanating evil. And that wasn't just we're talking about before everybody else knew how bad they really were. We're talking about people that rode with them, people that turned them down, that didn't want to become a part of their gang, were hardened criminals that were already were already bound for a terrible fate.
Yeah.
And Bonnie and Clyde scared them.
So we're going to wrap this up now. Farv, you want to start with you?
Wow, that suddenly came out of nowhere. So I'm starting.
No,
with
look at the time.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, we're at the end of the stream. We'll definitely, because the thing is, we're now moving away from media and slipping into true crime, and I really want to talk about this in a true crime episode, right? So far, if you want to talk about your channel, your book.
Yeah, so I have a channel which some of you are familiar with called Farvithian Guard. My brother and I do a lot of game content on there. We occasionally do topic discussions depending on time and mood. I've also got a book on Amazon, a fantasy novel called The Farvithia Chronicle, which is where the name of my channel came from. And I'm about halfway through the first draft of the sequel. So,
fucking fantastic. Raquel.
Baba can go.
He's basically got his Twitter. You've got like 2 channels to shill.
He's got a point.
Raquel SSG2211. I do painting hangouts and on my gaming stream. Similar name, just put the gaming on the end. I play video games. I'm still finishing Gotham Knights and Hogwarts Legacy. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Also, if you want to check her out more, go check out her Twitter, which has all of her social media links on it. Go join her Discord because she needs more people there. And just, yeah, if any of you want to join the network, follow me, I'll follow you. And I'll add you into my little networking group. Bubba, fuckface, you want to talk about your crap?
Well, you know, for now, yes. The only thing I have is my Twitter, you know, and I am Geek Hero Bubba. You know, just about anywhere you can find me, which is mainly Twitter and Facebook. I don't advise Facebook. Anyway, and when you were talking about the funerals earlier, just side point. So Ronald Reagan, his funeral, it only lasted 3 days versus the 58 days that Queen Elizabeth was on display.
Well, that was a monarch. That's different.
Yeah, and I get it. I'm just saying for the president of the United States, he had his wake and then he had his big funeral. Like we don't go into near the depth that the European monarchs do, but we only have ours 4 to 8 years. You guys have yours forever. But yeah, anyway, that's pretty much it. Thanks for having me on, man.
Always. So I would like to thank everyone for watching, everyone for joining, everyone in the future, for watching this. Tomorrow I am going to be streaming my first ever raid. My dumbass is going to be doing a raid on Destiny. So, so that's going to be a massive failure.
Hey, it sounds like it'll be fun.
Oh, it will. It will. And hopefully, because I need to, hopefully I'll be able to get Raquel, help her with a few issues that she's having on Destiny, and then we can stream over on her gaming channel, 3 dumbasses fucking around on Destiny. So guys, thank you so much. Next week we're going to be talking about the DCEU versus the DCU. Hopes, fears, what the fuck happened with the DCEU. Dalek, it's raid on Destiny. It's a super hard mission with timed controls and rooms and everything like that. But we're going to be talking about the problems with the DCU, DCEU. I'll be reaching out to some of my regulars for that. Irregulars, Dalek. For that. And we're going to just be talking about it. And then I will see you then. Everyone have a great night and God bless. Peace out.
Good night.
Later.